Hi, VCS dancers. It's Miss Holly here. I hope that you guys are having fun with our dance lessons. I'm really happy to see you again, and I'm looking forward to talking to you today about our next two elements of dance. If you remember last week, we talked about the first element of dance, which is body. This week, we're going to be talking about the next two elements of dance, which are action and space. And I'm looking forward to demonstrating to you what those elements look like. And then, just like last week, sending you a document in your Google Classroom that can give you some games to play at home with your family, exploring the elements of dance. Let's get started. So, the first element of dance that we're going to talk about today is action. When we talk about action as an element of dance, we can break down action into three different sort of categories to help us understand how action looks in a dance. The first thing we can think about is actions can be movements. So an action is something that's happening in the dance. So a movement can be an action in a dance. Another thing that you could have as an element of action is traveling. So when a dancer or a group of dancers moves from one place to another on the stage, that's an action. Also, you could have something called gesture, which is my favorite element of action. Gesture are, just like I'm doing with my hands right now, movements that sometimes have a meaning that everybody understands. They're universal gestures. Or there's sometimes gestures that have meaning that only the dancer or the dance maker understands. And those are called personal gestures. So we're going to talk about action, and I'll demonstrate that for you now. So the first element of action that we talked about is movement. And right now I'm going to improvise or make up movements in the present moment and show you movement. So this is what it might look like. So those were movements. I could do movements that are very different in quality, or I can do movements that are repetitive. That means that they are the same over and over again. You guys know I love this movement. So I'm repeating a movement over and over again. I can even have that movement come into my legs. And I'm doing an action with my body. Another element of action is traveling. Traveling is when a dancer moves from one place to another on the stage. I'll demonstrate that to you right now. So right now I'm going to travel down the diagonal. And I'm going to travel back up my diagonal to the center. Now I'm going to travel toward you. And then I'm going to travel away. I could also travel in a circle. And that's another way for me to use action. The last aspect of action is gesture. Like I said, this is my favorite part of the dance element action. Gestures are movements that have meaning, like I said in the beginning. Universal gestures are gestures that everyone knows what they mean. The way that I remember that is in the word universal, I hear the word universe. So I hear everyone in the universe knows what a universal gesture means. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to do a movement gesture with my body, and I bet you're going to know what it means. Are you ready? Did you know what that one meant? Of course you did. That means, I don't know. Okay, how about this one? That means hello. All right. Now I'm going to get a little bit more complicated. I'm going to do a movement gesture with my body, and you might have different ideas of what it could mean. Ready? What do you think that meant? All right, let's try a few more. What do you think this gesture means? That's right, it means come here, come along with me. All right, and then how about this one? Yes, it means I'm happy or excited. So we understand universal gestures. Yes? No? There are so many. I bet you can think of a few. Now we're going to come to my favorite part of gesture, which is a personal gesture. A personal gesture is a gesture that a dance maker or a dancer makes up to convey a feeling or an idea that has meaning to the dancer or the person making the dance. So right now I'm going to create my own personal gesture, and I'm going to show it to you a few times. And when you look at it, I want you to see if you see something in my gesture. If you think that you know what I'm doing, or if you see something completely different. All right, are you ready? All right, I'm gonna do it again. One more time. What did you see? What I'd like for you to do after you're watching this video is to go into your classroom on Google and type in a comment from this video what you think my personal gesture meant. All right? I want to know what you think first. All right, great. Now we're going to go on to our next element of dance, which is space. Dancers, when we talk about space in a dance, we're not talking about outer space and rocket ships and aliens. We're talking about the space that we're dancing in and how, as dancers, we are relating to and connecting with the space. So when we talk about space and dancing in space, we can talk about levels, which is, are the dancers up high in space with their movements? Are they in middle space, or are they very low in space in their movements? We can talk about directions. What directions are the dancers traveling in space? Are they going in circular directions? Are they going on diagonals like I showed you before? Are they jumping up and down in space? Are they sliding on their bellies across the floor? We can talk about relationships in space. We can talk about, are the dancers very close to one another in space, or are they very far away from each other? We can talk about how a dancer is in space close to the audience or far away from the audience. So there are a lot of ways for us to think about space and observe dancers in space. And I'd like to demonstrate a few of those for you now. The first aspect of space that I'd like to talk to you about are levels. Levels are, like we discussed, high, middle, or low. So you can imagine the space that your body occupies and divide it into thirds. From here up, I'm high. From here to here, that's the middle of my body. And from here down, that's the lower part of my body. And that's how you can sort of chunk out space around you. So I'll show you. I'm going to do some movements that are up high in space. There you go. So I was reaching up way high, so high that I think I even came off your screen. Now I'm going to show you movements in middle space, okay? So I'm improvising these movements. There you go. I was just moving in middle space. Now I'm going to show you some movements in low space. You see how it works? Awesome. The next aspect of space that I'd like to talk about is relationship. And I'm going to use my dining room chair here to show you about spatial relationships. How would you describe my relationship to the chair right now? I'm sitting on the chair. So the chair and I are connected, and I'm sitting on the chair. All right, now what about this spatial relationship? How am I relating to the chair? Did you guess that I was going around the chair? If you did, you're right. All right, what about now? What is my spatial relationship to the chair now? I'm above the chair. How about now? I'm next to the chair. So when we're in a dance, unfortunately I don't have any other dancers to work with here, but when we're in a dance we can look at the dancers and say the dancers are back to back like the chair and I are. Or the dancer, one dancer, is underneath another dancer. All sorts of things could happen. One dancer is going around another dancer. One dancer is lifting the other dancer, and that's how they're relating in space. To help me explain this next aspect of space, I am asking my volunteer, Totoro. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie My Neighbor Totoro. It's one of my favorite all-time movies. Anyway, Totoro's going to help me explain pathways to you. Pathways describe how a dancer or a mover travels from one part of the space, the performance space, to another part of the performance space, or how a dancer or mover describes or travels from one dancer to another dancer. So Totoro is going to be my other dancer here. And I'm going to show you a pathway to Totoro that is direct. That means that I am going straight to Totoro. All right? So here I go. I took a pathway straight to Totoro. I didn't meander or go anywhere else. That's called a direct pathway. Now I'm going to show you an indirect pathway. That means I'm not going straight to Totoro. I might wander around a bit first. Here we go. Eventually, but it took me a while. I did a lot of moving around and exploring my space before I got to Totoro, and that can happen in a dance too. So dancers, there you have it, our next two elements of dance, action and space. Today we explored both of them, and I hope that you enjoyed it and you understand how action and space contribute to your understanding of how to both create and observe a dance. I really look forward to seeing you guys soon. I miss you so much, and I will be sending a document out through Google Classroom, just like last week, where you can play some games based on action and space with your family at home. Take care of yourselves. I hope that you're well, and have a great week, dancers. Bye-bye.